Welcome to Next Femme Leaders, a podcast for conscious, ambitious women who want to make a real impact with their careers without losing themselves or their well-being in the process. I'm Isabel, your host, a leadership coach with over 13 years of corporate experience. I know how hard it is to lead in systems not built for us, especially if you're introvert, kind, intuitive, or spiritual. So here each week I will share tools that blend the practical and the mystical, the feminine and the masculine, so that you can lead with clarity, confidence, and authenticity. If you know in your bones you're meant for much more, you are in the right place. So let's start. Hello, beautiful woman. Welcome back to the Next Femme Leader podcast and our episode number 7. I still can't believe it's already our second month together. This space has brought me so many lessons and beautiful conversations with you already. And as always, thank you so much for being here and being part of this journey. And before we dive into today's topic, just a quick reminder that on Monday, 14th of July 2025, at 5 p.m. European time, we're having a free masterclass on the topic Leading with Confidence, What's Really Holding You Back. So during this hour together, we'll explore what's really getting in the way of your confidence, the key saboteurs that hold women back in their careers, and how to transcend them. You will leave this session with a clearer understanding and practical tools to really begin shifting your relationship with confidence. This is also part of the launch of the Leadership Accelerator we are starting in October. If you're a conscious and ambitious woman who wants to lead her career with clarity, confidence, and authenticity, this program is for you. For 8 weeks, alongside a beautiful community of amazing women, we'll dive into both the inner tools, like clarity around your vision, limiting beliefs and saboteurs, and the external tools, like confident communication, executive presence, and assertiveness. And as you know me, always blending the feminine and the masculine, the mystical and the practical. So if it's this calling you, I hope to see you there. You will have all the information in the show notes. So now let's dive into today's topic. So today I want to talk about something that I honestly often avoid talking. And I will tell you why in a moment. But funny enough, I had planned to talk about a completely different topic, but then one of those moments happened again. I sat down to record and suddenly my intuition told me, no, let's talk about this instead. And let me know if you would like to talk about intuition more in future episodes, because I know many of the women who are drawn to this space or work with me are very intuitive, even if they don't always know what to do with it yet. And intuition is such a feminine gift, and like most of feminine traits, is not something we often hear about in career advice. But honestly, so many successful people from Steve Jobs to Oprah have said that following their intuition is exactly what led them to where they are. And in my case, it's really one of my superpowers. And even though it was probably always there, it's only in the last few years that I really learned how to listen it and how to trust it. So let's talk about purpose. And this is a topic I used to love talking about because supporting women to bring more of meaning into their careers is literally the work I love most. But somewhere along the way, I actually stopped talking about this topic. And the reason was that I realized how much pressure we are putting on the word purpose. That we have to find the one thing only that we can do, that we have to turn it into a career, and that we have to monetize it. And in some ways, like purpose becomes another checkbox, another thing we must figure out. It starts feeling heavy, it starts feeling pressure. Elizabeth Gilbert says something beautiful about this, about how not everything you're curious about has to be your calling, and that not all passions need to be monetized, and that really stayed with me. So let me tell you a little story, and this happened last year. If you know my journey, you might know that before building Next Femme Leaders and supporting women in their leadership journey, I had a career in finance, which I actually really enjoyed, and quite a successful career. And 2 years ago, I decided to step into entrepreneurship. But last year, early in the year, I reached to a point where I decided to give up on business. And I'm always very honest about this kind of thing because I believe there is so much romanticization around what building a business actually looks like. And the truth is, for me, it has been one of the biggest challenges of my life. The mindset, the setup, the energy it takes is very different from succeeding in the corporate world. And it can also be a very alone journey, especially for somebody that loves people like me. It has been hard in so many ways. And at that moment, I was completely burned out from overworking and deeply frustrated. I had a strong attachment to this dream. I wanted to make a better world through my work. So, admitting to myself that it was not working and that it was affecting my health, my happiness, my relationship, that was really heartbreaking. And while I was on this process, one Monday night around 9 p.m., my boyfriend and I went to the supermarket. And little confession here, grocery shopping is not our favorite activity to do together. But we were there, and when we got to the counter, there was this guy at the cashier who welcomed us with a huge smile, and like he was having the best time of his life. And I asked him for peanut butter, and he laughed and said his wife is also nuts about peanut butter. And we exchanged a few jokes, we laughed, and in just 5 minutes, I felt like I had met an angel. There was so much light in this human being, so much joy. And this was on a Monday night in a supermarket. And walking home, I had this huge aha moment. And I realized I was giving so much power to my career, believing that only if I help women as a coach or an entrepreneur, I was truly making an impact. That my happiness and sense of purpose had to come from that title. But then there was this man in the supermarket on a Monday night that reminded me, if he can be light in that space, then so can I, anywhere. I don't need to be something specific to be of service to the world. I just need to bring love and light into whatever I'm doing. And that moment lifted so much pressure off for me. It opened up a lot of possibility for the rest of the year. And finally, when I took all the pressure, also my business started working way better. One of my mentors once said, act like everything matters and nothing matters at the same time. And I love that duality. So if you have been asking yourself, how do I balance all the parts of me? How do I know what my next step should be? What should my career look like? Here is what I want to tell you. You don't need to quit everything and become a coach, a therapist, a healer, or move to a cabin in the woods to be spiritual. Thinking there is only one way to be spiritual or impactful in this world, that's not purpose. That's spiritual ego. That's really your ego talking. There's so much pressure right now to monetize everything we love. But that actually kills joy. It turns what we love into another task. I remember when I started coaching 5 years ago, I was still working full-time in finance. And I was so scared that if I loved it too much, it would make my finance job feel miserable because I couldn't quit it overnight. But actually, it made me enjoy my work even more. Same with painting. During the pandemic, I started painting again, something I used to love as a kid and totally abandoned in my 20s. I pick up my watercolors and just start doodling. No goal, no plan, just because my soul wanted. Make space for things your soul wants without needing them to have a purpose, without needing them to become a career. You don't need to do something fancy to make an impact. You can bring love and light to wherever you're doing now. Because it's not about what you do, it's about how you do it. It's about the energy, your energy. That's what makes your work sacred. That was what that man in the supermarket was bringing. Impact doesn't come from your job title. It comes from your decision, your choice to be the light exactly where you are. And I always say we need spiritual conscious women everywhere, not just in coaching or yoga or healing spaces. We need you in finance, in law, in tech, in schools, being a teacher, in hospitals, being a doctor, in government, being the tax advisor, in supermarkets, everywhere. Because that's how we create a more evolved society. Not all becoming coaches and yoga teachers or creatives and living in a bubble of those. But actually bringing consciousness and our heart to every profession, to every part, to every role in our society. I see so many women coming into my coaching feeling stuck, like their job isn't impactful enough. I actually had so many processes where the main goal was to change careers. And then later they tell me, Isa, in the same job, same situation, I feel completely different. I believe in myself and my work again. So yes, if your soul is calling you to start something new, go for it. But also know you might already be in the perfect place to make an impact. You don't need to change your whole life to do work that matters. Sometimes it's about bringing you more fully into what you are already doing. What I want to invite you with this episode is to open your mind and remember that you already are in the right place. That you can actually bring love to the place that you are now. You don't have to change your life 100 degrees to create an impactful career. Every job can be impactful when you do it with love and putting yourself into it. As always, I want to know what are you taking from this episode? And please send it to your friends, especially to those who are frustrated in their career, thinking how they can change into a totally different direction. Instead of how do I do, start thinking what can I do in my current position to bring myself and love into where I am. And with this, I leave you with all my love until the next time. See you next week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you love what you heard, let me know on Instagram at nextfemleaders or send your thoughts and reflections to info@isabelfonseca.com. I truly would love to hear from you. And if it resonates with you, I would be so grateful if you left a review or a comment so that it helps more conscious, ambitious women to find this space. And please don't keep it for yourself, send it to another woman you know who needs to hear this message today. See you next Monday at 8 a.m. Until then, keep leading with your truth and remember, you already are an ex-fem leader.